Welcome back to The Explainer. Look, today we're jumping right into something that honestly a lot of people just write off as a fantasy reserved for a lucky few. But we're going to map out the exact mathematical system to hit financial freedom. No luck, no wild guessing, and definitely no hoping for a winning lottery ticket. We're talking about a structured, proven path you can literally start walking down today. Seriously, what would your life actually look like if your money worked harder than you do? Think about that for a second. Imagine waking up tomorrow with absolutely no alarm clock, no boss breathing down your neck, zero paycheck anxiety. You just know your bills are covered, your family's secure, and you have total freedom to do whatever you want with your time. It's the ultimate dream, right? But how do we actually turn that into an actionable reality? Well, first things first, we need to completely shatter a massive myth. Financial freedom, it is not about being a multimillionaire with a private jet or a mega yacht. It's actually super simple. It just means your passive income covers your living expenses. That's the whole game. Once the money flowing in from your investments or rental properties equals or beats the money going out to fund your life, you're free. You work because you want to, not because you have to. So here's our step-by-step roadmap for today. We're going to cover the financial freedom myth, calculating your freedom number, laying the foundation, building and growing your wealth, and finally, protecting your future. Let's get right into it. Part 1, the financial freedom myth. It's a system, not luck. Moving right along to part 2, your freedom number, calculating your destination. Before you set off on any road trip, you need to know exactly where you're going, right? So here's how you find your specific target, your freedom number. Step 1, add up your monthly expenses, rent, food, transportation, those streaming subscriptions, everything you actually need to live. Step 2, multiply that total by 12 for your annual number. And step 3, multiply that annual number by 25. Now, this is based on the famous 25x rule. It ties back to a 4% annual withdrawal rate, which is backed by decades of solid market research. The whole idea is if you have 25 times your annual expenses invested, you can comfortably pull out 4% every single year, and theoretically, your portfolio just keeps sustaining you indefinitely. You never run out of money. Let's make this totally concrete with a quick example. Say your honest monthly expenses are $4,000. That's $48,000 a year. Multiply that by 25, and your target portfolio is right around $1.2 million. Okay, I know, hearing $1.2 million sounds like this massive, impossible mountain to climb. But honestly, figuring this out is a total game changer for your brain. Once you actually know the real number, it stops being this terrifying, vague cloud, and it becomes a hard, mathematical plan you can just work backward from. Which brings us to part 3, laying the foundation, securing your base. All right, this is where we do the unglamorous but absolutely non-negotiable defensive work. First up, killing bad debt. Look, there's debt that actually works for you, like a mortgage building equity. But then there's the bad stuff, high-interest credit cards, personal loans, or, that random impulse buy at 2 a.m. High-interest debt is literally the single biggest thief of your financial freedom. You just can't out-invest a 22% credit card rate. Every single dollar you owe there is aggressively working against your future self. So to destroy that bad debt, you're going to use the avalanche method. Basically, you pay the bare minimums on everything else to keep your credit score happy, but you throw absolutely every extra dollar at your highest interest debt first. Once that's totally wiped out, you roll that entire payment amount into the next highest one. It might feel kind of slow at first, but then it hits this crazy momentum. It avalanches. You've got to clear this out first, because mathematically, everything else is secondary. Now, once that debt is gone, you need a safety net. I'm talking about an emergency fund. 3 to 6 months of living expenses sitting totally untouched in a high-yield savings account. Not invested in the stock market, highly liquid, just chilling there earning a modest yield. Why? Because life happens, right? Your car's transmission blows, the roof springs a leak, some random medical bill shows up. Without this uninvested cash shield, one bad week forces you to pull money out of your investments, maybe taking a massive loss, and completely resets your progress. With the fund, that major disaster is just a mildly annoying Tuesday. Seriously, do not skip this step. All right, part 4, building and growing wealth. We are going on the offensive. With the defense locked down, it's time to build the wealth engine. And the single most powerful force here is compound interest. But compound interest needs time to work its magic. So the rule is beautifully simple. Invest consistently in low-cost index funds for a long time. You don't need to be some Wall Street genius staring at spreadsheets all day. Broad index funds, like ones tracking the S&P 500, essentially give you fractional ownership in hundreds of the most successful companies in the world all at once. Historically, the market averages around a 7 to 10% return annually over the long haul. You literally just set it, forget it, and let it do the heavy lifting in the background.
I cannot stress this enough. Time is absolutely your greatest asset. Check this out. If you invest just $500 a month starting at age 25, by age 55, assuming a 7% return, you'd have over $566,000. But if you wait just 10 years and start at 35 with that exact same contribution, you'd only have around $243,000. That is a completely massive $300,000 difference, literally just because you waited. Time in the market always beats trying to time the market.
Now, of course, there's a hard ceiling to how much you can actually save just by skipping your morning coffee. True financial freedom comes way faster when you increase the money coming in. Here are 3 super practical ways to bump up that income. First, invest in your skills. A new course or certification makes you vastly more valuable. Second, create a side income stream. Freelance, consult, monetize a hobby. Honestly, even an extra $300 to $500 a month invested consistently puts your timeline in hyperdrive. And third, ask for more. Negotiate your salary. It's crazy how much money people leave on the table year after year just because they're afraid to ask for what they're actually worth. Okay, part 5, protecting your future, building the shield. Building wealth is one thing, but keeping it safe is a whole different ballgame. As your net worth grows, you've got to build a fortress around it. First, insurance. Health, disability, and term life if anyone relies on your income. One major medical emergency without coverage can literally wipe out a decade of hard work. Next up, estate basics. Get a simple will and name your beneficiaries so your assets actually go exactly where you want them to. And finally, diversification. Please don't put all your eggs in one basket. Spread that risk across equities, bonds, maybe some real estate. Because wealth without risk management, it's incredibly fragile. The final piece to all of this, and frankly, the absolute linchpin, is your mindset. Achieving financial freedom means playing the long game in a world that is totally obsessed with overnight success. You've got to stay completely consistent when markets drop and everyone on the news is freaking out. You're going to have bad months. You'll have major out-of-the-blue expenses that set you back. But that's not failing. That's just the normal path. The people who actually reach financial freedom aren't necessarily the ones making the absolute most money. They're the ones who just stayed the course. Remember that old saying, the best time to start was 10 years ago. The second best is right now. So let's quickly recap the 6 foundational steps we've laid out in this explainer today. 1. Know your freedom number. 2. Aggressively eliminate that bad debt using the avalanche method. 3. Build out your emergency fund so you can sleep at night. 4. Invest consistently in low-cost index funds. 5. Grow your income to speed up the whole timeline. And 6. Protect what you build. The big takeaway here, none of this requires a trust fund or crazy luck. It really just takes a decision to start and absolute consistency. Which brings us to your immediate action step for today. Calculate your freedom number right now. Figure out your true monthly expenses, multiply by 12, then by 25. Write that exact number down on a piece of paper, stick it on your mirror, and let it act as your true north compass for every financial decision you make from here on out. Ask yourself, when that alarm goes off tomorrow morning, are you just going to keep working to build someone else's dream, or are you finally ready to execute the math and build your own?